so much, Morgan.
Council will come to order. All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of our veterans, service members, and those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. We honor and acknowledge the Massachusetts, Pennacook, Pawtucket peoples, those whose ancestral lands we now call home and on which we gather today. We express gratitude to the indigenous peoples who have cared for this land for generations, predating European colonization and continuing to the present. Moving forward, we are committed to ensuring that the histories, voices, and contributions of indigenous peoples are recognized and respected in the life of our city. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Here. Councilor Condon.
Here.
Councilor Crowe.
Here.
Councilor Linehan.
Here.
Councilor McDonald. Here. Councilor Seega. Here. Councilor Simonelli. Here. Councilor Spadafora. Here. Councilor Taylor. Here. Councilor Winslow. Here. Council President O'Malley.
Here. I'm going to take paper communications 6325 out of order. This is a communication that the City Council will address an open meeting law complaint submitted on January 29th, 2024 by Councilor Spadafora related to the untimely start of the January 28th meeting of the full council, which was scheduled to begin at 7 p.m. The complaint itself is attached to the agenda. I have do you have a copy of it?
I have it in front of me right here.
The clerk will read the bulk the body of the open meeting law complaint for our consideration.
Description of alleged violation. I am writing to formally file a violation of the open meeting law against the City of Malden regarding the recent City Council meeting. The council meeting was scheduled for its usual start time of 7 o'clock p.m., but the ordinance committee meeting ran until 8:29 p.m. without any notice to the public, resulting in the council meeting starting 90 minutes late. Residents who came to participate were left uninformed of the delay and had no chance to voice their concerns, as several left the building in frustration. Moreover, 2 councilors who are not members of the ordinance committee also departed due to lack of notification. It is the responsibility of the council president to ensure all meetings are open to the public in a timely manner, allowing residents to contribute. The failure to provide adequate notice appears to have deliberately limited public input, undermining the democratic process. Actions wishing to be taken to the complaint, public apology, adherence to the law.
Thank you, clerk. And I'm just handing out a proposed response to this open meeting law complaint that I drafted. I'm going to read it out loud now, and if the council would like to take action on this, the vote would be to authorize this to be submitted to Councilor Spadafora and the Attorney General. So this is to Councilor Spadafora from myself, Ryan O'Malley, the City Council President, and it's regarding a apology in response to the open meeting law complaint. The letter states, "Dear Councilor Spadafora, let me start by saying I wholeheartedly agree with you that the manner in which the rollout of the Affordable Homes Act has unfortunately been rushed because of factors largely out of our control. I truly wish that the City Council had participated in policy discussions concerning accessory dwelling units months ago. The implementation of this local zoning ordinance highlighted a significant gap in how the City of Malden develops public policy. I apologize for my role in this and commit to ensuring that under my watch, the City Council will never again be given less than 3 weeks' notice to draft, enroll, and ordain a zoning ordinance. That said, we both know that not acting swiftly would have been a mistake for our community. Please accept this communication as both a formal written apology and the Malden City Council's response to your complaint, supported by the facts as described below. I apologize to Councilor Spadafora and the public for the short turnaround time on the implementation of the ADU zoning ordinance and for the delayed start time of the City Council meeting on January 28th, 2025. The delay was not deliberate and was purely the result of the Rules and Ordinance Committee finishing its committee report with relevant amendments suggested by the Planning Board and the committee itself. Going forward, I commit to improving how the City Council conducts business and will take the following remedial actions to ensure that the impact of future delays is minimized. 1, where a delay can be anticipated because one public meeting is predicated by the business action or adjournment of another, the public notice will state the time at which the meeting is anticipated on starting, for example, 7 p.m., and will include additional language to clarify that the meeting may be held later than the anticipated time. For example, it might read, or after the Ordinance Committee adjourns on January 28th, 2025. As an example, the public notice might now read, the City Council will meet in the Herbert Jackson Council Chamber, 215 Pleasant Street, Malden, Massachusetts, 02148, at 7 p.m. or after the Ordinance Committee adjourns on January 28th, 2025. 2, where a delay cannot be anticipated, a minority or majority of the City Council or Council Committee will be encouraged to call the meeting to order and publicly announce the delay. The public body members would then be encouraged to recess the meeting until the reason for the delay has ended. While in reviewing the open meeting law determinations, it does not appear that a delayed start time to a meeting constitutes an open meeting law violation, I do commit to making sure the business before the City Council and its committees is conducted in a timely and transparent manner. I want to thank Councilor Spadafora for bringing his concerns to my attention and look forward to working with him and every other councilor to continually improve. Councilor Spadafora's advocacy has helped ensure that a similar situation will be handled better by all involved. Please accept my formal and public apology for the delayed start time of the City Council meeting on January 28th, 2025. Earnestly, Ryan O'Malley, City Council President, City of Malden. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be really brief. I wanted to first thank you for the letter. I think it's heartfelt and lays out some really clear steps that we can take. I did also want to just reiterate, I know some of us have, chatted offline before and after meetings, not as a quorum, of course, of the body, but just anticipating ways that maybe we could have done better. And one of the things I had offered to do that I wanted to sort of publicly state is, I think there's kind of the two elements. There's the in-person factor, and then there's the folks watching online. And if you were watching online, truly you had no idea what was going on. And I know that was a night where we were taking up a really hot button issue. Members of the public were really eagerly anticipating hearing the outcome. Some had come in person to potentially speak and then went home. Although I will note that nobody had signed up for public comment, so I do want to be really clear about that. I don't think there was anyone that was waiting and left, or at least nobody that signed up. But I think that one of the things that we could do, and again, I'm offering very explicitly to help with this, is we could make a graphic that UMA could show so that when we are delayed, it's really apparent to folks streaming on cable or YouTube. And I think that would go a long way towards being really clear and communicating what's going on, given particularly since the open meeting law doesn't stipulate a time where, you're considered to be late, and if you go beyond that, then you're exceeding the limits of the law. The second thing that I did just want to offer is that I could see a scenario in the future where if we did have folks who are waiting to speak for public comment, maybe extending the opportunity for them to submit written comments past, given that if we're starting late, it's already after the 4 p.m. deadline to have emailed comments. If folks come and we have an unanticipated delay, I think that it would be a good practice for us to allow folks to submit written statements in lieu of being able to speak and address the body if we aren't able to start on time. So just trying to think in a solution space and how we can, mitigate this moving forward. But I do think also it's best if we raise these things when they're really happening. I think I was a little bit discouraged to see the complaint because I've heard us commit to not handling these types of disagreements this way in recent years, and so it feels like we are going back on some norms that we've set for ourselves. But I also do very much understand the frustration as somebody who travels for work and could be Zooming in myself in the future. If you're in that boat and you have no idea what's going on, that's obviously not a very genuine way of welcoming remote participation. So I do want to acknowledge that those things are in tension, but hope that we can avoid having open meeting law complaints against ourselves as much as we can in the future.
Thank you. Councilor Spadafora.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, that's an interesting look at that. So I do have a couple of questions, and that's why I was talking to the city attorney. Well, this says that you determined, I don't think it's up to the president to determine if there was a open meeting law violation. And in all fairness, we can't start a meeting early. There's no reason why I believe the law states that we can start a meeting, not 10 minutes late, not 20 minutes late. It was almost 90 minutes late. And while I don't think there was malice there, the ADU has nothing to do with this. My point was this meeting went over and it says when a delay can be anticipated. Well, we all knew that delay was being anticipated, very much so, because we knew what time it was. And when a delay cannot be anticipated, again, we all knew what time it was. And I was remote, and I can tell you right now, I had councils asking me if the meeting was going on. I don't think it was intentful, but the idea that this was just a brush over to me is not the right way we address it head on. The way we address it is I sent the open meeting law violation because it's an open meeting law violation. It's no different than us getting together in a room and saying the meeting starts at 6, and we said, oh, everybody's here, let's start the meeting now. We can't start early, and nor should we start late, because if we're gonna be transparent and people are waiting and people have a livelihood, and I appreciate this, again, it wasn't a 10-minute delay, it wasn't a 20-minute delay, it was a 90-minute delay. We should have did what the school committee does, is come in, effectively bang the gavel and say, we're gonna recess to the ordinance chair and come back. I'm not saying there was malice. This is the way I think we have to address this head on, because if I think I did it any other way, I don't think this debate would have happened here, to be quite honest with you. And I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but I appreciate the email. I think it's with empathy there, and I don't think it was intentful. But the same token is we just have to do a better job, especially when meetings are happening at 7 o'clock. And you've done a great job with Teams. We have people actively waiting online to see meetings start where they have no idea. And I'm sure residents here got the same email. Is the meeting happening tonight? Right? So regardless of the topic, it's within our duties to make sure that meeting starts on time, or at least notify the individuals. Based on the law, you have to have adequate notice. Adequate notice is not starting 90 minutes late. I don't know where the law states that's okay, but that's why I wanted to bring it up. I accept this. It's not malice, and I hope to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Spadafora. Is Councilor Cologne Hayes, and then just if anyone does have a motion to accept this and to send this to Councilor Spadafora or the Attorney General, that would be welcome. Councilor Cologne Hayes.
Right after, yeah. I was actually going to make that a part of this, but I just wanted to thank you for writing this. This is great. I do also wish that it was handled differently, like at the time of the meeting, we're all on the meeting. Somebody could have said, wrapped it, we might have said, I even leaned over and said, we're going over, like, is there a meeting? So, but then I thought, you know what? We're on a big deadline. Like by September, February 2nd, people can come in and do whatever they wanted by right if we didn't get this passed, and we were working, hard to get through that. So I wish somebody would have said it, or Councilor Spadafora, if you would have said it during the meeting, and then we could have discussed that too, because I do agree that we started, and actually I think it was Councilor Condon that said we hope that we would start this year off, working together and working better. So I disagree, and I think that absolutely, if you brought this up, we all would have talked about it. I don't think we would have an issue at all about talking about this and moved forward with it. So a couple of things too. I just thank you for having the Zoom because without you being president, we haven't had Zoom. So what happened was I got a text message as well, and I was like, oh yeah, I know we're starting late, but guess what? The great thing is we have Zoom, so you can join in. I'll let you know when that comes back on. So I do think that we should have something that you were saying, Councilor Linehan, that we put on if we think we're going late. Hopefully we're not going to go this late again, but you never know if we're running up against a big deadline. That will show on, UMA, show on Zoom, standby, meeting will start shortly, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we can give a deadline on when we're going to do that. Because yeah, absolutely, nobody wants to be sitting around waiting for something. But if you'll just check in and come back later and watch it by Zoom. I did come in and apologize to the library. They totally understood. They knew about the deadline. They were kind of bummed, but then they said, gone home and do it another meeting, not when we were like exhausted over the hours that we spent. So I do appreciate this, and I did read. I tried to, I'm read up on the laws as much as I could, and there really isn't a set, it doesn't give a time, like for ending time or a late start time that I saw. I'm not a lawyer, but I did try and see that. And I think that maybe if we just make it a little bit more clear, that could stop from somebody, you know, filing an open meeting law on ourselves instead, if we just work together to put something in rules. So thank you for writing this out. It took a lot. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Councilor.
And I'll make a motion to accept this and send it to the Attorney General.
Thank you, Councilor Clunes. Because you mentioned Councilor Spadafora by name, I'm going to go to Councilor Spadafora if he has a response.
Yeah, I'm going to try to be calm here because I think this is the most unbelievable thing I've ever witnessed in my life. The idea that this council, that two members now have already said, it's my fault. Well, with all due respect, Councilor, if you knew we were late, then why didn't you do it? And I'm not on ordinance either.
Yeah, we were both there. I did lean over, and then I said, yeah, I made my.
This was an open meeting law violation.
If I could ask.
No, let me finish. I have
Can you direct
Yeah, I
the
will direct it
comments
to
to
you.
me?
This is an open meeting law violation by the very definition. It's adequate time. If we have a meeting at 7 o'clock, whatever the topic is, and it doesn't start till 90 minutes late, I'm sorry, people. We failed as a team. And the idea that it's my job when I wasn't here, first of all, to say, hey, we're going to stop this meeting. I would almost tell everybody in this right now, I'll play devil's advocate, you wouldn't have stopped the meeting. You wouldn't have stopped the meeting. So the idea that it's my fault because I sent the letter of an open meeting violation, which I want the Attorney General to address, it's an open meeting law violation. At the end of the day, it is. And it's on all of us, not one counselor. If you read the law, that's how open meeting law violation works. It's on the body, not the individual. So it's all of us here. But the idea that it's my fault because I reported it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I've been on the other side of these many times. I've had 5 conflict of interest filed against me. I've had 3 open meeting law violations on me. So I think it's funny that when I do something which is completely in my right, and to be very honest with you, it's true. We did something wrong here. We did something wrong. We delayed the start of a meeting by, if you want to be attorneys by adequate law, 90 minutes in anybody's definition is way over the top. Just like starting 90 minutes early. So I sent it to the city solicitor. Councilor O'Malley received it. That was it. I don't go on social media. I didn't go in the newspaper. This was something I thought we should address as a committee. But the idea is, how dare you file something to be within the law? And the last thing I'll say is, we don't have Zoom, we have Teams.
Councilor Spadafora, I just want to let you know that I don't feel that way, and I want to specifically say that, as I've written in the letter, I want to thank Councilor Spadafora for bringing his concerns to my attention, and look forward to working with him and every other councilor to continually improve. Councilor Spadafora's advocacy has helped ensure that a similar situation will be handled better by all in the future. So I do appreciate what you've done. Having been on the other side of this, I do appreciate it. Councilor Winslow for the first time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate Councilor Spadafora bringing this up. I mean, I know I've been involved in a lot of public meetings over my course of time, and you know, generally, I mean, you know, there can be technical difficulties. There can be situations where we are waiting for other meetings to get done. It's not unusual to start a bit late. I mean, I sometimes I think in my own mind it's sort of like once an hour is about the time where people get concerned that we should have an explanation. So I think that is the type of thing. I mean, I am the chair of Rules and Ordinance. It was a pretty intense meeting we had. We had about over 20 amendments we had to consider. So there was really a need to work intensively on that. And, you know, I think people in the committee lost a little bit of track of time. But we should have taken that moment to come in and explain. So I think I like the remedy here. This is an unusual situation where we were really under the gun, that we were in the situation where we had to both, you know, really develop a pretty intense go through an intense set of amendments in Rules and Ordinance, plus, you know, come back to the council and vote on those things. So I think it's an unusual situation, but there is, Councilor Spadafora, you're right, there's really no excuse not to communicate that way. We did mess up, and we should do that. So, but I think we just have to be aware. But you know, it is what it is, and you know, we have meetings that go till 11 o'clock, and people sit out there and have to wait, depending upon how the business. But I think you know, better communication. I appreciate Counselor O'Malley taking the step here to really try to lay that out. Thank you.
Is that a second to the motion to accept this?
Yeah, that'll be a second.
So there is a motion on the floor that has been seconded. The motion is to accept this response as the council's response to this open meeting law complaint. This will be sent to Councilor Spadafora and to the Attorney General as required by law. Debate on that motion. I see Councilor McDonald, you have your, Councilor McDonald for the.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I would just say I think this is a gracious response and gets at the points we need. I agree with the points about some other tactics we could use. And I would just, you know, this is one of these weird times where I don't actually think anyone is disagreeing up here, and yet we are angry at each other. And I think we could just agree to do better, and I think we're all on the same page about that. That's my read, and I would support that. And I also would say, you know, I also was sitting in that meeting thinking, like, this is not great, and went out to talk to the people who were here. And I think we could all have a practice that if we think that there's a problem like that, that we could ask for a point of order and try to figure it out in the moment. I certainly like to think if someone said, could we just go in and gavel this out and make sure that the folks online know what's going on? You know, if someone had said that we all would have said, okay, yeah, let's try to do something about that. I believe that. It doesn't really matter what I believe because it's just a hypothetical. But my point is just that I would like to ask of my colleagues that should we have concerns about how we're conducting a meeting like that in the future, that we just do our best to try to raise it collegially in the moment and see if we can address it, you know, and hopefully we won't yell at each other about it, but I suppose you never know, and then see if we can do better by our constituents in the future. And I'm happy to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McDonald. I would like to call, if possible. So, while we are streaming, we are all here in person. The motion on the floor is to accept this letter and to have it sent to Councilor Spadafora and to the Attorney General. It was made by Councilor Clone Hayes. It was seconded by Councilor Winslow. A yes vote would result in me sending this letter out. A no vote would result in me not sending this letter out. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you all for your grace on this. The next order of business.
Paper 61-25, order that the City Council will vote to go into executive session with Alicia A. McNeil, City Solicitor, regarding the matter of Benevolent Botanicals and 926 Eastern Avenue v. the City of Malden for the purposes of Exemption 3, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, where such discussion in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the city, and if so declared by the chair, if so declared by the chair, and if so allowed by the body, to omit Marie Louise, Special Assistant to the Mayor. Roll call required.
Is there a motion to go into executive session? A motion by Councilor Simonelli, seconded by Councilor Winslow. The clerk will call the roll. My apologies. Citing Exemption 3 of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, wherein discussing paper 6125 in open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the city's litigating position. On Councilor Simonelli's motion to enter executive session, seconded by Councilor Winslow, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Clone Hayes. Yes. Councilor Condon. Yes. Councilor Crowe.
Yes.
Councilor Linehan.
Yes.
Councilor McDonald. Yes. Councilor Seega.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli. Yes. Councilor Spadafora. Yes. Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Winslow. Yes. Council President O'Malley.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next order of business.
Paper 62-25, order that the City Council will vote to go into executive session with Alicia A. McNeil, City Solicitor, regarding the matter of Zarachki versus the City of Malden for the purposes of Exemption 3, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, where such discussion in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the city, if so declared by the chair, and if so allowed by the body, to admit Maria Louise, Special Assistant to the Mayor. Roll call required.
On Counselor Simonelli's motion, seconded? Seconded by Counselor Crowe. So citing exemption 3 of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, wherein discussing paper 6225 in open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the city's litigating position. On Counselor Simonelli's motion to enter into executive session, seconded by Counselor Crowe, the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes? Yes. Counselor Condon? Yes. Counselor Crowe? Yes. Counselor Linehan? Yes. Counselor McDonald? Yes. Counselor Seega? Yes. Counselor Simonelli? Yes. Counselor Spadafora? Yes. Counselor Taylor? Yes. Counselor Winslow? Yes. Counsel President O'Malley?
Yes. For the public, just so everyone knows, we are going to be going into executive session now. The body will not reconvene for any further business this evening and will adjourn directly from executive session. Thank you.